Good? I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A motion to go into executive session for the employment history of a particular person. Motion, please. Heidi, second. Joe? All in favor? Okay, everyone, we can go through a little bit.
Easy next year.
Okay, the public forum, we have Bobby, Joe, yeah.
Evening. So sorry, I'm gonna read this because I want to make sure I get everything. So I wanted to speak to you tonight about the creation of the head mechanic position that you're gonna have as a vote this evening and appointing Norm Sigler to that position. So I felt the need to just give you a little insight to Norm and that he is such a valuable employee to Taconic Hills. He's been a mechanic here for just almost 39 years. It'll be in November. He is the mainstay in the shop. He keeps everything running, all the paperwork flowing. He goes above and beyond his job responsibilities every day. He works nights, he'll work weekends, he'll come in early. If at home, he monitors the fuel monitoring system. So if there's an alarm that goes off, something that happens, he comes right down, he fixes it, or does whatever he needs to do. So he doesn't hesitate. He's an excellent employee. And he certainly deserves this appointment. And I thank you for your consideration of appointing him to this position. It really means a lot to myself and to Norm. So thank you.
Thanks, Bobby, Joe. We have Beverly's.
I don't know, Bonnie, if you're having a rough night because your nameplate is pointing towards you, not you were. No.
No, it's the light on it.
It's the light. Oh. I thought you were having, anyway, I wanted to congratulate Sybil on her new position, and good luck in your new district. I do wish you well. When two main heads of a district leave, it can be a crisis or it could be an opportunity. I mean, it's really, you're looking at building a new foundation. And as an ex-employee, I'd like to encourage you to pick people who are going to continue to value the children, well, the staff. That's our charge. That is our fiduciary responsibility, is to use the district's money in a way that's best for the children and using it for the staff helps the children as well. I remember, I think his name was Craig Bender years ago, was really looking at and questioning in public session the amount of money that was in the reserves at that time. I'm imploring you to hire people who will use that money wisely for the benefit of the children. Money in the bank, it's important to have, but it's not always in the best interest of the children. So when you're looking at people to replace the top two people, please keep that in mind. Thanks.
Dr. Stephanie Sandberg.
Hi, good evening. I also apologize. I'm going to read off of my sheet. It's not lengthy, but I want to make sure that I hit multiple topics that I think are really important.
We have 3 minutes.
Okay, so it's definitely 3 minutes. So, good evening. My name is Stephanie Sander, and I'm here to discuss the topic of Darby D'Elia moving out of the elementary school. While there may not be a strong physical presence here tonight, the negative response to this proposal is shared by an abundance of parents. So I'd like to speak on behalf of the disappointed taxpayers in the Taconic Hills District regarding this move. I'm an alumni of Taconic Hills, and I currently have 2 daughters enrolled in elementary. Sorry, this is just really frustrating and upsetting. So I apologize if I'm emotional. Both of my students are frequently in the office. Most people would hear that and assume that they're troublesome of some sort. It's actually the opposite. My children start and end their day with office greetings and farewells. Sometimes it's a small wave through the window, and other times there is a daily recap of the exciting things that happened in their pre-K and second grade lives. No child would want to wave hello, share their day, or reach out for compassion from administration if there wasn't a strong sense of care and concern felt by that child. Flipping the script for being in the office and removing the negative connotation is extremely beneficial for elementary age children. Having active and frequent conversations with their principals about daily life and proud moments builds trust. An open-hearted child is a hard-earned feat, and Darby's open door policy for the children is something to be recognized, not penalized. High-risk gamble. Mary and Darby have both created an environment where children want to be with them. Children want to talk to them. My daughters are sometimes disappointed when they go into the office, as principals may not be there due to their consistent presence and support outside of the office. Their smiling faces are greeting children from the bus and waving goodbye as all the buses pull out every single day. These principals are sometimes the only positive consistency a child sees day to day. I think we can all agree that the children need a solid foundation. So why disrupt an administration that has created an environment where kids thrive and feel cared for? A school system should provide support and opportunity for growth that leads to lifelong success. It's apparent that Mary and Darby make this a goal, and they've so far been quite successful. When children start a new school year, they likely have a teacher they do not know and friends that are not familiar. My youngest has already mentioned she is scared to start school, but was excited to see Mary and Darby. With a smile, my daughter told me, "Mrs. D'Elia brings me gluten-free treats." In addition to caring about children's academic success, Darby also does all she can for their personal success. My daughter was recently diagnosed with celiac disease, and Darby has been involved in and supported her diet change from the moment we found out. Yes, it's her job to make sure my daughter has a gluten-free diet, but it's her compassion for my daughter's well-being that makes her provide treats, send home brand names, tips, and tricks, and is constantly checking in on her health. Darby goes above and beyond for each and every child. I see it firsthand with my children. I would hope a ray of sunshine in a child's life would not be taken away. No one can succeed in the dark. As a board, you are voted in.
The 3 minutes are up.
Okay, I'm concluding now. As a board, you are voted in to support the success of the children in your district. You would be doing a disservice to the elementary if Darby is moved. Please consider your role in strengthening the children's educational foundation rather than cracking it. Subsequent votes from the community rely on these types of decisions. Thank you.
So I'm gonna have, because you don't really have the whole, picture. I'm not sure who told you or what you were told, but he's gonna fill you in on what he's doing.
Sure.
Take it away, Doug.
Thank you. It's my responsibility as superintendent to make sure that we utilize the resources that are given to us by the taxpayers. And that includes putting the right people in the right locations. I have one advantage coming to this district, and that is I don't know people. But what I do know is that I'm able to look at the data, student achievement data. I see that it's dismal in many areas, both in the elementary school and the high school. So I need to make some adjustments, and I'm making adjustments in both the elementary school and the high school. And I just want to make it clear that Darby is not losing a job. She's not losing her tenure, her status. She's not losing her seniority in her bargaining unit. She's not losing anything. It's following the students that she has worked with into the next level. It's often very intimidating for an elementary student to transition to the high school. With her there, those students that were in the elementary school that she has been working with will be able to achieve that transition much easier. Secondly, I would like to, and I talked to her about this, I'd like to have her job expand as an assistant principal from working just on discipline to work with those at-risk students that we've identified early on in their education prevent we don't want to see a repetition of our graduation rate at 83%. If she works with those students that she's already familiar with, following them into the next level, she will be able to work with the students and the parents to keep those students in school, to get them the proper academic supports that they need, and to move with them as they move. So my decisions have been data-based. They're not based on personalities or people that I know. But what I do know is that the principal of a school is the instructional leader. That's primarily responsibility. We're not great in terms of our performance. There's room for improvement. Fact is that now we're going to have in the elementary school, we're going to have co-principals. What that means is that the principals will be dividing up 3 levels each. They will to focus then on the academic achievement and the programs that those students need at each of those levels. By having 2 principals, co-principals in the elementary school, we're addressing a lot of needs. And that's one of the responsibilities that Laura is undertaking as she comes here to this district. She's sitting over there. And I welcome her experience. She has extensive experience in both teaching in the Bronx, teaching and working in the Hudson School District. She's run community outreach programs. I've got a list of things that she has accomplished in her K-12 experience. And I think your children, as well as other children, will readily take to her as she works in the PK through 3 grade levels. And Mary will work in the 4th through 6th grade levels. By dividing those grades up with 2 principals, we're getting more intensive involvement with all aspects of their education. So that's why I'm making this move. It's a move that I think is good for Darby. I talked to Darby about the concept of looping. And we're only doing like half of looping at this point. But looping is a research strategy in which the teachers move from one grade level to the next grade level with their students. It saves a lot of time in September because teachers, and in this case administrators, don't have to take the time to get to know the students. They're familiar with the students. They know their weaknesses. They know their strengths, and they know how they perform in class. I think Darby will be an asset in the high school as much as she's been an asset in the elementary.
I appreciate that and I understand that logic. May I ask a follow-up question?
I will ask you to call Mr. Kelly tomorrow. Question or answer. It's about you stood up. I was trying to give him an opportunity to address what you said. That's if you want to have a further conversation with him, please call me tomorrow.
Okay.
Please. Okay, so now we have Neil.
Me? It's me. My name is Neil D'Elia. I am Darby D'Elia's husband, who is the current assistant principal for the elementary. Darby's been a valuable member of this district for over 23 years. She was a high school social studies teacher for 20 years. In that time, she was a Gold Star teacher, mentor for new teachers, content coordinator, and student teacher advisor. Additionally, she coached the boys varsity volleyball team. She took students to the SAD National Convention in St. Louis, as well as she started the Model UN Club, Key Club, Hero Challenge, and the mock trial team. All in this while getting married and having 3 beautiful kids. Darby didn't realize that her true passion was working in the elementary school. After 20 years in high school, she was ready for a challenge. As you can tell, I'm not a public speaker, and this is very uncomfortable. I reluctantly agreed with her after many conversations that she should pursue her advanced certificate in school administration. She did her internship here at Taconic Hills, where she got to explore each part of the pre-K through 12 administration duties. It was at this time she realized that her true calling was to be an assistant principal in the elementary. In the past 2 years, she has excelled at her job. During the first year in the elementary school, she was entrusted with not only her duties, but the principal's duties as well. Due to Mary being out on medical leave. She received praise from Mr. Howard, the elementary teachers and parents for the way that she handled the situation. That is why she was completely devastated that she was being moved to the 7th and 8th grade. When she learned of this, her first concerns were the kids that seek her out for their morning hug and reassurance that everything was going to be okay. In closing, I ask that you please not change the elementary dynamics. Thank you.
Yes, please. Thank you. All right, I need a motion for the acceptance of the agenda. Motion, please. Kevin, second. Rick, any questions? All in favor? I need a motion for the acceptance of the consensus agenda. Motion, please. Kevin, second. So the consensus agenda is a little different now. So you know how we used to do all of the, the resignations and everything. So it's really short now. It's only the minutes from our last meeting or from the reorg meeting and the CSE recommendations. So when we get to L is when we're going to vote on all of the, like the consensus stuff that we used to do in the past. All right. Is there any questions on that? All in favor? Thank you. Now we have the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Talked to Nick earlier today. He sent me a long email. I didn't require him being here tonight, but I would like him to tell the residents, if you wish, Rick, or I could read your email. It's an excellent email, covers it all, about the municipal lighting and our feature fields. That is, the equipment's being delivered, I understand. The lighting, the new lighting will be installed soon. Did you want to embellish that?
Sure. So the new equipment will be here next week sometime. They're going to use the existing light structures. They're going to take down all of the components within those structures. They'll put up new LED lighting, new controls, and then in addition to that, there's going to be T-posts in the corners of the track area. So over by where the high jump is, if you're familiar with that, so that we can get additional light over there. So it's kind of a two-part project. The T-posts that need to go in require trenching and some other utility and a crane to get those to be put up. So basically the goal is to get the main light structures lit so that we're ready to go by 9/1. If there's time left in the schedule before the end of this month, then we'll start on the T-post. If not, then we'll tackle those after the season's over. At the end of the day, what you're going to have is a light quality on the feature field that's still 10 times better than what we have now. Right now you have, and this is all done, you're going to have 50-foot candles, and that's going to be a huge, huge difference. So we're on track and things are looking like they're going.
The lights, they're not LED, right?
They're HI or they're metal halide light.
Okay, so these going in are going to be LED, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next on my list is something that I'm looking forward to, and that's a Summer Teacher Institute that's going to be held the third week in August. I'm sorry, the 21st through the 24th. And we've asked teachers and administrators to attend a series of lectures and group work on a number of issues and a number of questions that I think will improve not only the teaching, but the administrative work as well. Some of the sessions are titled, one is research-based instructional strategies that work. Another one is engaging classroom spaces that support learning. And another one is data decision-making process. I think interpreting data and having all teachers understand the depth of the data that we have, drill down in to find out exactly what the students are lacking, let's say, what areas that need improvement at all grade levels. This course, this session, this institute that's being offered will help. We're getting experts from Questar, but we also have Dr. Chandler coming in to work with both our teachers and administrators. And we have more than a dozen teachers signed up for just the teacher sessions. So I'm excited about that. and have him here. I've talked to him on the phone a number of times. I think he's got a lot of great ideas. Those are just a few of the sessions. Tonight, I'm asking for the board to confirm appointments for over 7 teachers that we've managed to interview, to attract to the district. And I'm very excited about the people that we have attracted to this district over the last few weeks. And I say few weeks because it's continuing today. I just got a resignation from another special ed teacher about 2 hours ago. So it's a constant state of flux, and it's fairly common in school districts that you're going to have those recommendations because many people are out looking for jobs, and they may be accepted at different school districts and offered jobs, and they obviously pick the one that suits them the best, whether it's based on or what attracts them will be money as well. The fact is that the people, though, that we've attracted are outstanding. I talked a little bit about Laura Backman, sitting back there. Her resume is outstanding. Someday I'd like to circulate that among the board members. It's not public information because it contains private information, and I'm not allowed to do that. But the point is, I'd like the board to see that resume in executive session because it's so important that we bring people like her to the district, and I believe she's attending the institute as well to learn in the classes, but also to get to know the teachers, get to know some of the teachers that are coming on board. We're hiring a tech teacher, high school assistant principal, elementary teacher, 2 sped teachers, 2 math teachers. 2 math teachers. You know how hard it is to get high school math teachers these days? We've attracted 2 of them. A business teacher, a fax teacher, and a tech teacher. Now, tech teachers are rare, very rare. And I want to thank Sandra, who is our assistant superintendent for curriculum and development, for attracting many of these students, many of these potential teachers to our district. She met our tech teacher, for example, at Catamount Ski area, where he was managing the summer program there, mechanically oriented, working in that environment, working with children. And she got into the conversation with him. Come to find out, teaching was his lifelong dream. And we talked to him, and he's coming on board with us as a tech teacher. Some groups are unable to attract tech teachers at all. So we're lucky to find this group of people. We're still interviewing. We'll be interviewing a psychologist tomorrow. We'll be interviewing another special ed teacher, I believe, this week. We'll be interviewing hopefully some social workers that need, where that position needs going. So things are looking up in terms of getting close to the school year, having the number of vacancies filled. And I'm excited about that. We even have the potential for a Spanish teacher. There has been a survey that was conducted by Westgard just yesterday, and it surveyed all of the 22 school districts in the Westgard service area, in Cap Region, based one of the areas of the Cap Region. Almost all of them said foreign language teachers are the hardest to get. And I think we're going to be attracting a teacher here. As those teachers come on board, they will get the word out that this is a very inviting place to work, and I'm excited about that. We will build upon that as we hire more teachers, and I think we're attracting a pretty good group. I can't wait for you to meet them all. Lastly, I'd like you to demonstrate for you some of the activities that were taking place this summer. Some of the things going on, and I got the biggest kick out of watching some of those younger children here over the last couple of weeks. And I also want to thank Alexis Miller for putting this together for me. Charles. So, yeah. You see it all right?
It's good.
You know, one of the, I was roaming the halls the other day. I do that. And I came across a woman standing at an upright desk. So what are you doing in the middle of the hall with a bunch of food on the table? And she said, oh, we give the students these treats as they come to school, summer school every morning. Wow. That's the level of concern. That's the level, the details that students react to in a very positive manner. And well, these are some of the kids that are partially eating apples. Mr. Meyer is a math teacher, 27, 28 years experience. He's a graduate of West Point. He'll be coming to teach AIS math in the high school next year. Very proud of that hire. Had a nice conversation with him. I think he volunteered, by the way, to work in the summer school program. You know, another thing, I had the opportunity to peruse our library. Well, we have an outstanding library. And one of the things that really impressed me is how comfortable it is. You walk in there and there's couches, there's chairs, all in excellent condition. The bookshelves are arranged in a very attractive manner. Kids don't know which side for the elementary and the high school books are located. And anyway, that is another gem in our building, is the library. There's also a computer setup for a number of computers set up there. There's overhead projectors in the library that will allow teachers to bring their classes in there and talk about the books and use the overhead projector as well. Another asset for the school district. Music, I know we're concerned about, I'm concerned as well as others on the board are concerned about our music program. I believe that the music program is in a state of flux right now, and it's growing. And to have this as part of the summer program, I think is advantageous to grow our program overall. I tried to eat one, but it had some kind of a styrofoam. The kids had a great time showing them to me. I had each one hold the one that they made, and they had a name for it, and then the flavors that they tried to portray in those. The art classes are doing just fantastic work. So, summer school enrollment, I was surprised at the number of students that are in the building every day up until August 10th. 99 students. That's fantastic. One of the other things that I was totally impressed with this summer was the refinishing of the basketball courts and the relining of them. It looks magnificent. We're trying to keep as many people off of the over the summer so they don't get scratched up at this point. But it's a beautiful building, and these are beautiful courts to go with it. Wow. Nick showed me a couple weeks ago the bus, the community bus. What a piece of work that is. You can tell that his employees working on the bus had a real sense of pride. You're looking down from the driver's section on the left-hand side towards the back of the bus. In the back of the bus, there's a screen and doors that can be shut off. The ceiling of that has little lights in it, and it looks like a skylight. I'm impressed with the whole thing back there, and all along the sides are places for computers to work, for a teacher to have a screen on the left-hand side, and for community groups to use it as well. It's an outstanding job. The workmanship in the windows, where you see those octagonal windows on each side, I thought was just outstanding.
We have to send this to our onboard editor or onboard the school board, to get our school in there. I think this will be great.
I think it's worthy of publication. We're sending the bus out. I don't know if it's sent out yet to get wrapped.
We will be after the bid's approved, yes.
Beautiful. Looking forward to attending some varsity sports September. And I know the varsity soccer team is out there. I watched them out there practicing today. It looked like the varsity team. We have something on the agenda about a lot of teams, a few of them with the Hawthorne School, so to get their players and our players together so we can have a full team. And don't forget school tax collection begins. I know I'll get you again. I'm 91. Thank you.
Thanks. We have the light back because I'm blind.
Yeah.
Thank you. And presentation, the code of conduct, uses has worked on some changes to reflect our restorative practices because sometimes.
Just doing some general updates. So I think I actually printed this all for you because you're not going to adapt anything tonight. So I did highlight the changes that we made, so then you can review it and kind of go through some of the adopting process next time. Things that I wanted to point out specifically. So we met as an administrative team to make sure that we were incorporating the K through 12 ideas and making sure that we all had our voices heard. So one of the things starting on page 6 is that we did just update some of our definitions. And so in our previous code of conduct definitions really ended around number 13, but we added in there, what is behavior? What is a disruptive student? Gender, gender expression, gender identity, relationships, respect, responsibility, and restorative practices. Those are something that our kids are really looking at right now. And so wanting to make sure that we incorporated all of those. Page 10, well, page 9, 10, 11, 12, all of these changes are fairly similar. It was a lot of wording. So like guidance counselors are no longer guidance counselors, they're actually school counselors. And so updating that to reflect that. And for each of these, the roles and responsibilities and the expectations, what we added was a statement about confidentiality in accordance with state and federal law, making sure that we're protecting our students. We added in there addressing personal bias because we all have them. And so recognizing what those are and how we handle each particular situation. We also added in there this idea of promoting a trauma-responsive approach to addressing student behavior. All of our students come with a different story and making sure that, yes, there has to be discipline, yes, there has to be consequences, but we want to make sure that we are promoting that trauma-responsive approach of how we are working with those situations, but also asking everyone to be active in participation in resolving conflicts through a restorative process when it's appropriate. So we did that presentation to the board last winter, I think, about restorative practices. So it is not always appropriate, but just asking people to be aware and available when it is appropriate. Then I'm going to skip to page 18. We wanted to update the dress code a little bit because dress codes are hard. There's a lot of gender bias included in dress codes. You can list different garments and things like that, but generally they are biased towards one gender over the other. And so a big one that we changed was number 2, recognizing that extremely brief garments, and previously it had listed what all of those garments were, but that was definitely biased towards one gender. And so we took that out, just saying that extremely brief garments are not appropriate for anyone. It doesn't matter who the student is. And so we did have some males this year that got dress code violations because of their choice in attire. And so, making sure that footwear, things like that, but making sure that we were meeting their needs as well. So trying to eliminate some of those. Under student responsibilities, rights and responsibilities, One of the things that we've been talking about is that in some classes, in some places, and I would say this is probably more specific to the secondary level, students weren't always sure how they were being graded. They weren't always sure what the expectations were. And so that is their right as a student to have clear objectives, requirements, know what the standards are, what their grading is looking at. So we actually did bring in a student group to ask them questions about this and what they wanted to see. And so trying to get their voice into what as students do they want. So they want help. They want to help design their classroom rules and expectations. They want to know from day one. So I actually put it in the parent letter of here's how things are going to be graded this year. And here's what you can expect to see on School Tool, just to help increase that communication from day one. So there's no surprises when it's June and all of a sudden, oh, where are we at? So just making sure that we're a little bit more clear with that. In terms of the discipline code of student behavior on page 21, it was really just wording that we changed. So engage in conduct that deliberately goes against what a student has been asked to do before. This behavior is considered insubordinate. So just trying to give more specific definitions of what does it mean to be insubordinate? What does it mean to be disruptive? Because those are very broad terms, and wanting to make sure that we include some of those expectations of what that looks. I did for Bobby Joe, and I didn't even talk to you about this, but on page 23, we did add in engage in misconduct while on a school bus. We added in failing to remain seated, keep objects and book bags inside the bus, obey the directives from the bus driver and monitor, because we think it really needs to be addressed everywhere. So not just in the classroom. Page 25, this is a brand new section in terms of disciplinary penalties, procedures, and referrals. Because I think at the elementary level and the secondary level, we really are trying to make discipline be teachable, because we are trying to help them understand. One of my favorite quotes is, behind every behavior, there's an emotion, and figuring out what that emotion is, because they need to have their emotional needs met just as much as they need their academic needs met. And so, we use our social workers, our school counselors, our school psychologists a lot with this model, in terms of they ask some of these questions of who was hurt by your actions, what were their needs, whose obligation are these, and trying to make sure we just narrow it down a little bit more to make it a teachable moment. So not every action has a punitive consequence, because like people have talked about tonight, we don't want our offices to be places that kids avoid. We want them to feel comfortable coming there to express some of those things. And so just making sure that we do explain why behavior is unacceptable, the harm that it caused, because sometimes kids just don't realize how their actions impact other people. They're in the moment. And so these are just some of the things that we talked about with our social worker team, our school counseling team, because we do want them to understand how that impacts others. And of course, on page 26, all of this is impacted by the student's age, what the nature of the offense was, what their student's prior disciplinary record was, the effectiveness of other forms of discipline, information from parents, teachers, and other extenuating circumstances. So making sure that we try and get the whole picture. One of the things we've talked a lot about this summer is that there's always three sides to every situation that happens. There's the student's version, there's another person's version, and somewhere in the middle is what really happened. And so trying to make sure that we all understand and that those do become teachable moments. Page 28 is another section that's new. This was added in there because we felt as though there are times that we do have to search a student for a wide range of reasons. There's either the suspicion of a weapon, there's someone said that they had something in the bus stop, and our first priority is student safety. And so we really wanted to put this in here of what are our expectations for student searches. And specifically, we really also wanted to include that these are done, school law is different than penal law. And so it doesn't necessarily have to involve the school resource officer. Yes, they'll get involved when they get to a particular point, but this just kind of authorizes and goes through the building principals, nurses, who should be present for some of those searches. But then on page 29, we added in documentation because that's one of the things that we felt like it was lacking this year was we didn't have a documentation. So we're working on creating a Google form that when we do a search, it's a quick, easy fill out. So then we have something that's a running tab of what we have done. So then we know, so if there's another search done, we can go back and follow up. But then it talks about what is the police involvement in some of these searches and interrogations, because we want to be partners with our SRD. We don't want our SRD to be seen as someone who's here to get them all the time. So we really want to make that bridge together. We get a lot of questions from families about CPS and visitors to school, which is why we added page 30 in here. So talking about our commitment to keep students safe from harm. We are mandated reporters, so there are times that CPS gets involved because we have to make those calls. And so some of the reasons, and then visitors. This is just tweaked a little bit because we do want visitors. I think we're post-pandemic. We want people to be back in the building. We want all of those things to be present. And so just how they sign in and things like that. Then on page 46, I added in an alternative instruction. State law states in the past it was if students are suspended for an extended period of time, it's the school's responsibility for 10 hours of tutoring per week. It's now changing to 15. So we wanted to make sure that people are aware that we do provide alternative instruction. We left the time frame out in case education law changes. So making sure that, we have the tutoring process in here. But that it might change depending on the year. So this year it's up to 15 hours. Page 48 goes through some other referrals that we could potentially make for students. So counseling, we do counseling referrals all the time. We might have to do a PINS petition. And so we want parents to be aware of what a PINS petition is. And then juvenile delinquents and juvenile offenders. We did not have to do that this year, but again, it is something that could potentially happen. And so just putting it all out there. And then Mr. Pollinger really added in page 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, because our students with disabilities, their rights are a little bit different. And so making sure that we document, because I think that families sometimes have a hard time understanding what is a manifestation hearing? What does it mean if a student with disabilities, because for a student with disabilities, if they get to a certain number of suspensions or things like that, we do have to do a manifestation hearing to determine if it was a manifestation of their disability or just something else. So just kind of outlining that so people understand what that looks like. Because it does talk about change of placement and when we're removing or suspending kids, other things that we have to do for our students with disabilities. So those are some of the major changes. We did not change the discipline rubrics because there's some flexibility in those all along the way. And so it was just words, things like that. So if you've got questions or concerns or things that you want us to change, certainly let us know. I know we've got a cabinet meeting next week, but any of us would be available to sit down and talk through this if you have any more questions.
So I asked Lisa to do this, so she didn't go over to all the yellowed things. It's for us to go home and if anyone wants to make any, if you see anything that, you might want to change or just let me know. We will vote on this at our next board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have old business, so we have a couple members not here for our reorg meetings. We have to get them on these committees. So I need a nomination for the AIDS committee. I will nominate Joe. Second, Kevin, do you accept?
Yes.
All in favor? Next up, I need a motion or a nomination for policy committee.
I'll nominate Margaret.
I'll second. Do you accept?
Yes.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. And now we need a nomination for the audit committee. I nominate Joe. Second. Kevin, do you accept, Joe?
Yes, thank you.
All in favor? And then we need the chairperson for the audit committee. I nominate Joe. Second, Kevin, do you accept?
Thank you.
All in favor? Thanks. Now we have the budget committee. I need a, person for the budget committee and nomination.
I'd like to nominate Margaret.
I'll second. Do you accept?
Yes.
All in favor? Thank you. All right, so we got new business here. We have, I'm not reading all of that. I'm just gonna highlight it. 2000, so I need a nomination for the 2023, 2024 tax levy resolution. Motion, Kevin, second. Rick? Any questions? No, nothing. Any questions on that? All in favor? Thank you. And now we need to sign this. We all need to sign, Kevin, I already signed it, so you sign them, and then we have to give it to Eileen. Oh, there's the attender. Is that what you're waiting for? Yes.
First in, I got the first tax bill.
All right. That's important. Why don't you just get by? I'll let you get by me a little bit before I go on. All right. All right, so now we're gonna go, we need a motion for the online tax bill payment merchant services fees. Motion, please. Kevin, second. Margaret, any questions? All in favor? Here. I need a motion for the tax reserve account. Motion. Kevin, second. Alicia, any questions? You got a question?
No.
Oh, all in favor?
Just be proactive.
All right. I need a motion for the memorandum of agreement with the Chicana Hill support staff for, the head mechanic position. Motion, Rick, second. Kevin? Any questions? All in favor? Rick? I know. So now I need a motion for the approval of college course and AP exam fee reimbursement program for the 2023, 2024 school year. Motion, Kevin, second. Heidi, any questions? All in favor? You? All right, I need a motion for the approval of the internal transfer, which is, the principals. Elementary school principals, I need a motion, please. Motion, Kevin, second. Joe, any questions? All in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, now we have I need a motion for the new employment rates. Can I have a motion, please? Kevin, second. Margaret, any questions? Yes. All in favor? You need a motion for the approval of the following donation to Bank of Green County. It's $100 for our book vending machine, and that's in the high school, right? Yeah, junior center. Motion. Alicia, second. Margaret, any questions? All in favor? Approval of the following bid, that's the Next Gen Signs, that's for our wrapping of our community bus. Motion. Heidi, second. Rick? Any questions? All in favor? You. So next up is a motion for the surplus of the following vehicles. Motion. Kevin, second. Joe, any questions on that? All in favor? I need a motion for the approval of the merger between Hawthorne Valley and Taconic Hills for the modified football and modified girls volleyball program for next year. Kevin, motion, second. Margaret? Any questions?
Yeah. And you'll ask this every year?
Yeah.
No Taconic Hill kids get cut from Hawthorne Valley, correct? I would really,
We don't have enough
They
play.
have.
I just want to make sure I hear yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's right, you always do ask that question, absolutely, and it's a valid one. All in favor? Thank you. All right, so next up is what I was talking about earlier. So L is, it's everything from page 5 to 13, right? It's just a little bit different, different way that we've been doing this. So I need a motion for personnel items. Joe and Kevin. So I need to add some on page. Bear with me here. On page 12, we are adding to R, which are the proctors. We're adding Barbara Floughton. We're adding Nancy Byrne. We're adding Melanie Airy. And we're adding Priscilla Court. On page 10, the club. So for band, we are adding Amelia McNamara, Ashley? Yes. Is that right? Yep. And then for the yearbook, we are adding Michelle Rapp. And then we have in our audience, we have Kyle, who is our new cook manager, who took Pam's spot. So welcome.
Well, welcome aboard.
He will be looking for some food.
Ron.
Right.
Thank you.
Um,
I'll give you a list.
Open pen with some instructions.
So there's one thing I want to say, and that's about Sybil's resignation. Sybil, I want to wish you the best. I know Colony is getting a rock star. I want to apologize on behalf of the school district for the treatment that you suffered here. You have taken a lot of accusations. You've taken a lot of abuse, even some tonight were in some of the comments that were made tonight. So on behalf of the district, I'd like to apologize to you and I wish you the best.
I'd just like to say something in support as well, that, and you may not know this, it just happened today, is that auditors have been here, big order the books with a fine tooth comb. They finished their audit today, and not only are the books in that office clean, but there were absolutely no deficiencies at all in the whole bookkeeping and business administration department at all. So I wanted to thank Sybil for that. I also wanted to thank Sybil for being such a support for me since I've been here. I've turned to her many times to clarify issues, to give me a little history of the district, to help clarify the law in relation, because she's already been through some of these issues. And she's helped me beyond just help, and has given me documentation for many of them. Sybil, thank you so much for the help that you've given me over the last month or so in this position. I appreciate it very much. You're doing an outstanding job.
It's a big loss to the school district.
We will miss you.
Huge.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. That being said, all in favor of L with all of the personnel items?
We can vote down.
That she can't resign.
I know you want to vote no, I know. Okay, so now there's some additional items. Oh, wait, do we have a second public forum? Do we have anybody for second public forum? Okay. So there are some additional items to discuss before we get into, the second executive session. So, I want to talk about the superintendent search. I want to provide an update. As you know, the Board of Education decided to extend a superintendent search in May, which increased our total number of applicants to 28. Last month, the board interviewed 10 semifinalists, including those with superintendent and assistant superintendent experience. The board will interview 5 finalists next week. Our interview includes a component that requires candidates to present on how they would help our district increase student achievement and improve our culture. In addition to other questions, the board will discuss the next steps following the interviews. So that's my update on that. The other thing I wanted to talk to the board about is Grant Chandler, which Doug talked about. He will be here for the board on the 23rd. He will do a retreat with us. He wants to give us an update on, we approved that money, I think it was 2 years ago, the ASCD people. So he's gonna come and give us an update, and tell us what he's coming here for our staff members. He's doing. It will be, I believe, 6:00. Yes, I have 6:00 here. So, he's gonna work with some of our staff. Doug alluded to the new teacher academy, so he'll give us a little bit of an update on that. And he'll tell us where he's going, forward, with that. So in our retreat a couple weeks ago, a couple of board members brought up to add a couple of committees, and Joe, I'm gonna look into the facilities. We'll have a couple of school districts that NISBA gave me. I'll be making some phone calls to see how they run a facilities committee. And then once I have that information, we could form one. I just don't want to form something that we're not going to be productive at, right? The other one is the community engagement, which I got that idea from Doug, because where he was at April Park, he had a community engagement committee on his school board. So, I plan on meeting the April Park superintendent and hopefully talking to him about that. Again, I don't want to start a committee if we're not going to be productive. So I want to see what that entails and how we can make this work here is what my goal is. I also want, when school starts, if you are all in agreement, is on some of our committees, like the budget committee, maybe the policy and legislative, is maybe asking some of our staff members if they would like to be on them. Some of the community members, and also I would love students. I love the fact that Lisa reached out to the students to be part of that code of conduct. That's what we have to do. We have to engage our students, right? So when school starts, we'll maybe send something out. Some of you gave me some workshop ideas, and Doug and I are still trying to plot them on the calendar, so I will have a calendar for you at the September meeting, which will have all of workshops plotted out and our meeting dates for you to, at least you'll have something. And if I happen to not text you and remind you, at least you'll have that in front of you. The senior class exit survey, I know we got that at the retreat that Sandra did. But I really kind of want to make that a workshop so that we can really have some input as to what we want our graduating students to tell us when they leave here. I know I have my own ideas, but I'm sure some of you have your own. And then tonight was a deadline for any questions for final candidates. Does anyone have any to give me? I know some of you sent me some, which is great. All right. I don't mean to put you on the spot right now, but give it to me by the end of the night. I think that's all I have for additional items to discuss. So I need a motion for, to go into executive session. Joe, second. Kevin? All in favor? Thanks. Good evening. Thank you. Yeah.